The grand ballroom of the Hilton was alive with the sound of laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft strains of a string quartet. A sea of elegantly dressed guests mingled under the glittering chandeliers, their outfits a kaleidoscope of colors and textures that reflected the wealth and status of those in attendance. At the center of it all stood Ryan Mitchell, a striking figure with tousled dark hair and a tailored suit that hugged his athletic frame. He was the epitome of success, a billionaire known not only for his financial empire, but also for his disarming charm and winning smile. As he exchanged pleasantries with a well-known actress and effortlessly navigated through the crowd, Ryan couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Perhaps it was the hollowness of the conversations, the superficiality that surrounded him, or maybe it was the emptiness he sometimes felt despite his riches. He chuckled at the thought that he could buy everything except genuine connection, but quickly brushed the sentiment aside as he raised his champagne flute to toast yet another benefactor of the charity gala. "Ryan, over here," called out one of his closest friends, Marcus, a tall man with a booming voice and an infectious laugh. Marcus beckoned him over, and Ryan obliged, striding across the polished floor. "Did you hear about the latest donation?" Marcus asked, his eyes sparkling with excitement. $5 million from that tech mogul. Can you believe it?" "Impressive," Ryan replied, though his mind wandered. He was grateful for the charity work they did, and yet he felt a nagging urge for something more substantial. Just as he was about to voice his thoughts, a shadow fell across them. "Ryan Mitchell, always the golden boy, aren't you?" The voice was smooth yet laced with a challenge. Ryan turned to see a mysterious man with an enigmatic smile, dressed in a sharp black suit that seemed to absorb the lights around him. "Do I know you?" Ryan asked, his brow furrowing in confusion. "Not yet, but you will," the stranger replied, his eyes glinting with mischief. "I have a challenge for you, Ryan." "A challenge?" Ryan echoed, intrigued despite himself. "What kind of challenge?" The man leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I challenge you to marry a woman who defies societal standards of beauty. A woman who represents everything the world deems unacceptable. Think of the headlines, the impact, the charity work you could promote." Ryan raised an eyebrow, a mix of annoyance and curiosity coursing through him. "You can't be serious." "Why would I?" "Because it would be the ultimate act of defiance against a world that judges by appearances. You, a billionaire, marrying someone who doesn't fit the mold. It would shake the very foundations of this gala and the society that thrives on superficiality." Ryan's friends gathered around, their expressions a mixture of disbelief and amusement. Marcus chuckled, leaning closer. "You really think you can pull that off, Ryan? Marrying someone who is less than perfect?" The stranger's smile widened. "Exactly. It's not about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's about love, acceptance, and challenging the status quo. What do you say?" Ryan glanced at his friends, who were now snickering, and felt a surge of determination. "Fine," he replied, his voice firm. "I accept your challenge. But who is this woman?" The stranger's eyes glinted with satisfaction. "Her name is Emma Lawson. She volunteers at a local community center, and she is known for her heart of gold and her sharp wit. You'll meet her tomorrow." "Emma Lawson, huh?" Ryan repeated, his curiosity piqued. "Let's see what this challenge is really about." As the night wore on, the gala continued without a hitch, but Ryan felt a shift within himself. The challenge had ignited a spark, and whether it was for the thrill of proving his friends wrong or a desire to delve deeper into the meaning of love, he was ready for whatever lay ahead. The next day dawned bright and clear, and Ryan found himself standing outside a quaint community center that buzzed with activity. It was a far cry from the opulence of last night's gala, but there was an undeniable warmth to the place. Children's laughter echoed through the open doors, and a colorful mural brightened the exterior walls. Ryan took a deep breath, adjusting his tie as he stepped inside. The atmosphere was lively, filled with volunteers helping kids with arts and crafts, organizing food drives, and engaging in various community activities. He felt a twinge of discomfort. This was a world vastly different from his own. "Can I help you?" A cheerful voice broke through his thoughts. He turned to see a woman with curly auburn hair, wearing a simple yet vibrant dress that complemented her figure. Her smile was genuine, and her eyes sparkled with kindness. "Are you Emma?" Ryan asked, his voice slightly hesitant. "Yes, that's me." "And you are?" she replied, extending her hand. "Ryan Mitchell," he introduced himself, shaking her hand firmly. He felt an unexpected warmth in her grip, a contrast to the coldness of high society he was used to. "Ryan Mitchell, the billionaire." Emma's eyebrows shot up in surprise, but she quickly masked her astonishment with a friendly smile. "What brings you here?" "I wanted to meet you," Ryan said, trying to sound casual. I have a proposition for you." Emma's smile faltered for a moment, and she crossed her arms defensively. "A proposition? From a billionaire? Sounds a bit too good to be true, don't you think?" "Wait, let me explain," he rushed. "I was challenged to marry someone who defies beauty standards, and you were suggested as the perfect person for this." "Hold on," Emma interrupted, her voice rising slightly. "You want to marry me as part of a challenge? You don't even know me." Ryan felt a flush creeping up his neck. "I know it sounds absurd, but I'm genuinely intrigued. I want to learn more about you and what you stand for." Emma studied him for a moment, her expression skeptical. "And what do you think I stand for? Being a charity case? A trophy for your ego?" "No, that's not what I meant," Ryan insisted, his frustration growing. "I want to understand what it's like to be you. I want to prove that love isn't about appearances." She rolled her eyes, clearly unconvinced. "You think you can just walk in here, make a proposal, and everything will suddenly be okay? You have no idea what it's like to be judged for your weight, for how you look. You think I want to be part of some social experiment?" Ryan felt a pang of guilt, realizing how dismissive his words had come across. "I'm not trying to belittle your experiences, Emma. I genuinely want to challenge the norms, to show people that beauty comes in all forms." Emma's expression softened slightly, but skepticism lingered in her eyes. "And why would I want to help you with that?" "Because it could raise awareness for body positivity, and we could do something meaningful together," Ryan offered, his voice earnest. She sighed, looking away for a moment, as if weighing her options. "You have no idea what you're asking me. But you know what? I'm curious to see how far you're willing to go with this challenge." Ryan's heart raced, a mix of relief and excitement flooding him. "So, you're willing to consider it?" "I'll think about it. But don't expect me to just jump into this marriage thing," Emma warned, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Fair enough," Ryan replied, a grin breaking through. "Just give me a chance to prove that I'm serious about this." As they stood there, both of them grappling with their preconceived notions, the tension in the air shifted. It was the beginning of an unexpected journey, one that neither of them could have anticipated. Ryan felt a sense of purpose igniting within him, and Emma sensed a challenge that could redefine not just her life, but also the world around them. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. Their lives were about to intertwine in ways neither had imagined. Ryan Mitchell stood in front of Emma Lawson, his heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and uncertainty. The community center, adorned with colorful banners and the scent of fresh paint, buzzed with the laughter of children playing in the corner. It was a stark contrast to the glamorous galas he was used to, but there was something strikingly genuine about this place. The walls felt alive, echoing the warmth of the lives Emma touched through her work with local charities. "Emma," he began, trying to summon the right words, "I know this sounds bizarre, but I want to propose something to you." His blue eyes searched hers, looking for any sign of understanding. Emma raised an eyebrow, her expression a mix of amusement and skepticism. "You mean marry me?" She chuckled, crossing her arms over her ample chest. "Is this some kind of joke? Because if it is, I don't think it's funny." No, I'm serious," Ryan insisted, running a hand through his meticulously styled hair. "I want to challenge the way society views beauty and relationships. I know this is unorthodox, but I believe we could make a statement by getting married. Imagine the conversations it would spark." Emma's laughter faded, replaced by a contemplative frown. "You really think marrying a plus-size woman is going to flip beauty standards on their heads?" She shook her head, incredulous. "And what about me? I mean, I'm not exactly the trophy wife type you're used to, Ryan." "Exactly," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "That's the point. You're beautiful in your own right, and I want the world to see that. This isn't about me. It's about both of us. I want to show that love isn't confined to societal norms. Emma studied him, the gears in her mind turning. She had always been the one overlooked, the friend who supported others while grappling with her own insecurities. "And what do you get out of it?" she asked, her tone skeptical yet curious. "Is this just another publicity stunt for you?" Ryan sighed, the weight of her words settling in. "I won't deny that there's a part of me that wants to prove everyone wrong. My life is full of expectations, and I'm tired of living up to them. But this isn't just for show. I genuinely think you're amazing. You have a heart of gold, and if I can help amplify that, I want to." For a moment, Emma was silent, absorbing his words. She could see the sincerity in his eyes, the way his brow furrowed with determination. "You might be a billionaire, Ryan," she finally said, her voice softer. "But that doesn't mean I'm going to fall for you just because you want to make a statement." "I don't want you to fall for me," he replied, his tone earnest. "I want us to build something real together. This could be a journey of discovery for both of us. We could help so many people along the way." Emma shifted uncomfortably, her mind racing. She had spent years battling her self-image, and the thought of being thrust into the spotlight, even for a noble cause, felt daunting. "What if it doesn't work out?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I end up being the laughingstock of your world?" Ryan stepped closer, his voice steady. "Then we'll face it together. I won't let anyone hurt you, Emma. I promise." He paused, letting the weight of his vow hang in the air. "Think about it. We can redefine what it means to love and accept one another, flaws and all." After a long moment of silence, Emma nodded slowly. "I'll think about it," she said finally, her heart racing with a mix of fear and excitement. "But I'm not making any promises." Days passed, and Emma found herself caught in a whirlwind of emotions. The idea of marrying Ryan was both exhilarating and terrifying. She confided in her best friend, Mia, over coffee at their favorite cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed espresso filling the air. "Are you seriously considering this?" Mia asked, her wide eyes reflecting disbelief. "Ryan Mitchell? The Ryan Mitchell? The guy with the perfect hair and perfect life?" Emma sighed, stirring her cappuccino absent-mindedly. "I know it sounds crazy, but he's different. He sees me for who I am, not just my size. He wants to challenge the world's perception of beauty, and I think he genuinely believes in it." Mia shook her head, her expression torn between support and concern. "But what about you? This isn't just some fun little experiment. You could get hurt, Emma. You know how the world is." "I do," Emma replied, her voice steady. "But what if this is an opportunity for me? I've been hiding for so long, afraid of judgment. Maybe it's time to step out of the shadows." "Okay, but are you ready for that kind of commitment?" Mia pressed, her tone serious. "What if he just wants to prove a point and doesn't actually care about you?" Emma bit her lip, contemplating her friend's words. "I'll have to trust him. I've never really allowed myself to believe that someone like him could see me as more than just a statistic. Maybe this is my chance to change that." The day came when Ryan and Emma sat down with their families to discuss the wedding. Emma's heart raced as she entered the small, cozy dining room of her parents' home. The familiar scent of her mother's cooking wafted through the air, but the tension was palpable. "Are you sure about this?" her mother asked, her brow furrowed. "This isn't just some fling, Emma. You're talking about marrying a billionaire." Emma glanced at Ryan, who sat confidently at the table, his demeanor relaxed despite the scrutiny. "I'm sure, Mom. This is about more than money or status. It's about love and acceptance." Ryan leaned forward, his voice smooth and reassuring. "I understand that this is unconventional, but I care deeply for Emma. I want to build something meaningful with her." Emma felt a swell of pride at his words, but her father's skeptical gaze weighed heavily on her. "And what about your life, Ryan?" he asked, crossing his arms. "Are you prepared to handle the backlash? People will talk." "I'm prepared for that," Ryan replied firmly. "I've spent my entire life dealing with high expectations. I want to use my platform for something that truly matters. Emma is worth it." Emma felt a rush of emotions as she watched Ryan defend their relationship. The tension in the room began to ease, but her father's voice still carried a note of doubt. "I just want to make sure you're both ready for this. It's not just about you two, it's about your families as well." "We're ready," Emma said, her voice steady. "I'm ready to embrace who I am, and I want Ryan by my side." As the conversation continued, Emma realized that the road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but for the first time, she felt empowered. She wasn't just a plus-sized woman. She was Emma, a woman ready to take on the world alongside Ryan. As the wedding date approached, Ryan found himself increasingly aware of the prejudices Emma faced daily. He witnessed the way people looked at her, the whispers that followed them in public spaces, and the way she would sometimes flinch at a comment meant as a joke. One afternoon, they walked through the local park, the sun casting a warm glow over the blooming flowers. Ryan reached for Emma's hand, intertwining their fingers. "You know," he began, "I never really understood the weight of what you go through every day until I started seeing it from your perspective." Emma glanced at him, surprised. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've always been on the other side of the equation," he explained, his voice thoughtful. "I've never had to fight for my worth like you do. I've watched people overlook you because of your size, and it makes me angry. It's not fair." She smiled softly, appreciating his willingness to understand. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot. But you don't have to carry this weight for me, Ryan. I've learned to handle it in my own way." "I know," he replied, squeezing her hand. "But I want to stand with you, not just behind you. I want to fight against the prejudices and misconceptions together." Emma's heart swelled at his words. They were in this together, ready to confront the world head-on. As they walked, she shared her struggles with self-esteem and acceptance, revealing the scars that shaped her journey. In that moment, they forged a deeper bond, understanding that love was more than just a feeling. It was a commitment to lift each other up against the odds. Emma felt a flicker of hope ignite within her as she envisioned their future, a future where love triumphed over societal expectations. The morning sun filtered through the stained glass windows of the church, casting vibrant colors onto the polished wooden pews. Emma Lawson stood at the entrance, her heart racing in her chest. Today was the day she had thought would never come, the day she would marry Ryan Mitchell. She took a deep breath, trying to quell the tempest of emotions swirling within her. The soft fabric of her wedding dress brushed against her skin, a delicate reminder that this was real. As she stepped forward, she felt the eyes of the guests upon her. Whispers fluttered through the air, a cacophony of judgment and intrigue. Emma could hear snippets of conversation, laden with skepticism about her and Ryan's unconventional union. Is he really going through with it? She doesn't look like the type he'd marry. What a publicity stunt. Despite the murmurs, Emma held her head high, determined to embrace this moment. She had spent so long battling her insecurities, and today, she was not just a figure in a wedding dress. She was a woman ready to claim her worth. As she walked down the aisle, she could see Ryan at the altar, his face beaming with a mix of love and pride. The warmth in his eyes made her heart swell, drowning out the doubts that threatened to creep in. Ryan wore a tailored suit that accentuated his tall frame, and he looked every bit the part of a dashing groom. As Emma approached him, the world around her faded away. All that mattered was the connection they had forged over the past few months. He stepped forward, reaching for her hands, and the touch sent a jolt of electricity through her. "You look stunning," he whispered, his voice low and sincere. "Thank you," she replied, her cheeks flushing beneath the weight of his gaze. "You clean up pretty well yourself." The officiant began the ceremony, his voice a steady anchor amidst the swirling emotions. As they exchanged glances, Emma could see the determination in Ryan's eyes, the conviction that had driven him to propose this audacious challenge. The vows began, and Emma listened intently, her heart pounding louder with each word spoken. "Emma," Ryan began, his voice steady yet filled with emotion. "When I first met you, I saw a woman who defied everything society said was beautiful. But what I found was so much more. You have a heart of gold, a spirit that shines even in the darkest of times. You've shown me that beauty is not defined by size or appearance, but by the kindness and strength that resides within. You inspire me every single day." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Emma's eyes widened in surprise, her heart swelling with gratitude. She had expected the usual vows filled with love and promises, but Ryan had gone above and beyond, challenging the very standards they were fighting against. Ryan, Emma replied, her voice trembling with emotion. I never imagined I would find someone who sees me for who I truly am. You have shown me that I am worthy of love, that my size does not define my value. I promise to stand by you, to support you, and to challenge the world's perceptions together. As the vows continued, Emma felt a sense of empowerment wash over her. The weight of societal expectations seemed to lift, replaced by a newfound confidence. This was not just a marriage. It was a declaration of acceptance, a commitment to challenge the world's standards together. The officiant finally reached the moment of the rings. As Emma and Ryan exchanged their bands, a tangible connection formed between them, a bond that would weather any storm. The rings, simple yet profound, symbolized their commitment to love one another unabashedly. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant declared, a broad smile on his face. You may kiss the bride. Ryan leaned in, capturing Emma's lips with his in a kiss that felt like the culmination of their journey, a blend of passion, respect, and a deep understanding of one another. The applause erupted around them, a mix of genuine joy and hesitant acceptance. As they pulled away, Emma's eyes sparkled with unshed tears. We did it, she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. We did, Ryan grinned, his hand still clasped around hers. And this is just the beginning. The reception that followed was a whirlwind of laughter, dancing, and heartfelt toasts. Friends and family gathered to celebrate their union, and despite the lingering whispers from some, the atmosphere was filled with joy. Emma felt like she was floating, buoyed by love and acceptance. Can you believe we actually pulled this off? Emma said, her eyes sparkling as she took a sip of champagne. Honestly, I was a little worried at first, Ryan admitted, a playful glint in his eyes. But seeing you up there, I knew we were doing the right thing. This isn't just about us. It's about everyone who feels judged for who they are. Emma smiled, warmth flooding her chest. You've changed so much since we met. I never thought you'd be the one to challenge societal norms. Neither did I, Ryan chuckled. But then I met you, and everything changed. As they danced together, the world around them faded into a blur. Emma felt alive, every twirl and dip a testament to their journey. She had fought so hard for self-acceptance, and now, in Ryan's arms, she felt a sense of belonging she had never known before. Emma, I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm here for you, Ryan said softly as he pulled her closer. You are more than enough. Tears brimmed in Emma's eyes as she gazed up at him. Thank you for believing in me, Ryan. I can't express how much this means to me. The night wore on, filled with laughter and dancing, but as the final notes of the music faded, Emma felt a sense of unease creeping in. The reality of their decision loomed over her like a dark cloud. Could they really challenge the world together? Would their love be enough to weather the storm that was sure to come? As the last guests began to filter out, Emma and Ryan stood together on the balcony, the stars twinkling above them like a promise of hope. What are you thinking about? Ryan asked, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. I'm just nervous, Emma admitted, biting her lip. I love what we've done, but I know there are challenges ahead. What if people don't accept us? Ryan turned to face her, his expression serious yet soft. We'll face it together. We've already proven that love can defy expectations. Let's keep that momentum going. Emma nodded, her heart swelling with affection. They had already overcome so much, and now, as husband and wife, they were ready to take on the world. They shared a quiet moment, feeling the weight of their vows settle upon them, the promise of love, acceptance, and resilience, a commitment to challenge the world's perceptions together, hand in hand. The morning after their wedding dawned bright and clear, but for Emma Lawson, the sun felt like a spotlight. She blinked against the golden rays streaming through the sheer curtains of the hotel suite, her mind still swirling with the memories of the previous day, exchanging vows with Ryan Mitchell, the cheers from their guests, and the way he had looked at her with such warmth and admiration. But as the euphoria of the moment began to fade, a knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. Emma swung her legs over the edge of the bed and inhaled deeply, trying to steady herself. The sudden influx of media attention was overwhelming. Just hours after their wedding, pictures of them had splashed across news sites and social media platforms, accompanied by headlines that ranged from curious to outright derogatory. Billionaire marries obesity, and a modern fairy tale gone wrong were just a few of the derogatory slants that pierced her heart. She felt the weight of society's judgment pressing down on her, and it was suffocating. In the bathroom, she caught sight of her reflection in the mirror. She touched her face lightly, tracing the outline of her features. The wedding dress had made her feel radiant, but now, in the harsh morning light, she felt exposed, vulnerable. "What have I done?" she whispered to her reflection, her voice barely above a murmur. Meanwhile, in the living area, Ryan was pacing back and forth, his phone pressed against his ear. He was in the midst of a heated conversation, his brow furrowed, and his jaw clenched. "No, you don't understand," he said, his voice rising. "This isn't just some publicity stunt. Emma is incredible, and I won't let you talk about her that way." He paused, listening intently to the voice on the other end, his expression a mixture of frustration and determination. "We're not going to play into your narrative. You can't simply disregard her worth because of her size." Emma stepped out of the bathroom, her heart racing at the sound of Ryan's voice. She felt a rush of affection for him, but it was quickly overshadowed by her anxiety. She knew he was facing backlash from his peers, and the thought of him defending her against their cruel taunts made her feel both proud and guilty. "Ryan," she called softly, not wanting to interrupt his conversation but needing his attention. He turned to her, his expression softening instantly. "Emma, I need to take care of this. Just give me a minute, okay?" He returned to his call, and Emma nodded, even though she felt a pang of loneliness creeping in. The minutes ticked by as she watched him argue passionately over the phone. It was evident that he cared deeply, and yet she couldn't shake the feeling that she was a burden. The way the media had twisted their story made her heart sink. Would he still feel the same way about her when the novelty of their union wore off? Finally, after what felt like an eternity, Ryan ended the call and ran a hand through his tousled hair. "I'm sorry about that," he said, his voice tinged with exhaustion. "It's just they're making this harder than it needs to be." Emma forced a smile, but the weight of their reality hung heavily in the air. "What did they say?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "They're questioning why I'd marry someone like you," he replied, his eyes darkening. "They're saying it's a publicity stunt, that I'm just trying to prove a point." He stepped closer to her, his gaze earnest. "But they don't know you, Emma. They don't see what I see." Emma's heart fluttered at his words, but doubt crept in. "What do you see, Ryan?" she asked, searching his eyes for reassurance. "Am I really worth it?" "Of course you are," he exclaimed, frustration evident in his tone. "You're kind, smart, funny. You make me want to be a better person. I don't care what they think." He reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. "We can get through this together." She wanted to believe him, but what if they never stop? What if I can't handle it? The tears she had been holding back threatened to spill over. Ryan cupped her face with his free hand. "You are stronger than you know, Emma, and I'll be right there with you every step of the way. We'll face them together." His touch was grounding, and she took a deep breath, nodding slowly. "Okay, together," she echoed, feeling a flicker of hope. Later that afternoon, they set out on their honeymoon, a much-anticipated trip that had been planned meticulously. Ryan had booked a secluded cabin in the mountains, away from the prying eyes of the media. Emma hoped that a few days of solitude might help them reconnect without the pressure of the outside world. As they drove through the winding roads, the scenery shifted from the bustling city to lush greenery, the air growing crisper with each mile. Emma gazed out the window, marveling at the beauty surrounding them. "It's stunning out here," she remarked, her spirits lifting slightly. "Just wait until you see the cabin," Ryan replied, a smile breaking across his face. "I promise it's worth the trip." When they finally arrived, the cabin stood majestically against a backdrop of towering pine trees. It was rustic yet cozy, with a large wooden deck that overlooked a serene lake. Emma felt her heart swell with gratitude. "This is incredible, Ryan." He grinned, clearly pleased. "I thought you'd like it. I wanted to escape the noise. Just the two of us." Inside, the cabin was furnished with warm woods and soft fabrics, inviting them to relax. Ryan set down their bags and turned to her, a playful glint in his eyes. How about we start with a hike? The view from the top is breathtaking. Emma hesitated for a moment, her insecurities resurfacing. Are you sure I can keep up? She asked, her voice laced with uncertainty. Absolutely, he replied, his tone firm. It's not about speed. It's about enjoying the journey together. Trust me, I'll be right by your side. With a deep breath, she nodded and allowed him to lead the way. As they hiked through the woods, the sounds of nature enveloped them, the rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the gentle flow of a nearby stream. Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her, and for the first time, the weight of societal expectations began to lift. This is what it's all about, Ryan said, glancing back at her with a bright smile. Just you and me. No one else matters. She returned his smile, feeling lighter. You're right. I needed this. As they reached the summit, Emma gasped, her breath taken away by the panoramic view. The sun was beginning to set, casting a golden hue over the landscape, and she felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. This is beautiful, Ryan. Thank you for bringing me here. He stepped closer, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. I wanted you to see that there's a world beyond the noise, beyond the judgments. We can create our own narrative. Emma leaned into him, feeling safe in his embrace. I'm starting to believe that, she whispered, feeling a connection deepen between them. However, the sense of tranquility would soon be put to the test. Later that evening, they attended a party hosted by one of Ryan's wealthy friends, a gathering that promised to be a showcase of high society. Emma dressed carefully, choosing a flowing, elegant dress that accentuated her curves. She wanted to feel confident, despite the apprehension gnawing at her. As they entered the opulent venue, the murmur of conversations hushed momentarily, eyes turning toward the newlyweds. Emma felt her heart race, the weight of judgment palpable in the air. She could sense the whispers behind her back, the sideways glances, and the snickers that echoed like daggers. Ryan squeezed her hand reassuringly as they mingled through the crowd, introducing her to his friends. This is Emma, my wife, he stated proudly, but the reactions were mixed. Some smiled politely, while others wore expressions of disdain. Ryan, how could you? A sharply dressed woman said, arching an eyebrow as she examined Emma from head to toe. Surely, you could have chosen someone more fitting for your status. Emma's heart sank at the comment, but before she could respond, Ryan stepped in front of her, his demeanor shifting. That's enough, Clara, he said, his voice steely. Emma is more than enough. She's my choice, and that's all that matters. Clara laughed, a harsh sound that cut through the air. Oh, please, Ryan. You're embarrassing yourself. You can't be serious about this. Emma looked at Ryan, searching for reassurance in his eyes. You don't have to defend me, she said softly, but he shook his head. I won't let them talk about you like that, he replied fiercely, a fire igniting in his gaze. You deserve respect, and I'm proud to call you my wife. The tension thickened in the air as more guests began to notice the confrontation. Emma felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and anger. Ryan, let's just go, she urged, feeling the walls close in around her. No, he said, refusing to back down. They need to understand that this isn't just some game for me. You're my partner, and I won. Back home, the echoes of laughter and celebration from their wedding day had faded, replaced by an unsettling silence that enveloped the couple. The lavish decorations and remnants of their nuptials felt hollow in the light of reality. Emma Lawson stood in their shared living room, her heart heavy with uncertainty. The sunlight streamed through the large windows, illuminating the room, but it could not penetrate the cloud of doubt that had settled over her. She gazed down at her hands, resting on the plush fabric of the sofa, and clenched them tightly. Ryan deserves better, she murmured to herself, her voice barely a whisper. The weight of societal expectations pressed down on her like an anchor, dragging her deeper into the ocean of insecurity. She had always known that love was not merely about appearances, but the world seemed so intent on measuring worth by size and shape. The whispers of disapproval from friends and strangers alike echoed in her mind, each word a reminder of the battle she faced every day. As she sat there, her thoughts spiraled into a dark place. What if Ryan regretted marrying her? He was a billionaire, handsome, and charming. Everything society deemed desirable. And then there was her, an overweight woman who had spent her life battling not only her own insecurities, but also the prejudices of a world that often failed to see beyond the surface. Maybe I should just leave, she thought, her heart aching at the idea. He deserves someone who fits in seamlessly with his world. Suddenly, a soft sound broke her reverie. The key turned in the lock, and Ryan entered, his presence filling the room with warmth. He was still in his work clothes, a crisp white shirt and tailored trousers, but the moment he saw Emma's troubled expression, the smile faded from his face. "Hey, babe," he said, his voice filled with concern. "What's wrong?" Emma forced a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine," she replied, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Ryan moved closer, concern etched across his handsome features. He knelt in front of her, taking her hands in his. "You're not fine. I can see it. Talk to me." Taking a deep breath, Emma felt the walls she had built around her heart start to crumble. I don't know if I'm enough for you," she admitted, her voice thick with emotion. "I keep thinking that you could have anyone you want, and I'm just me." Ryan's expression turned serious, and he squeezed her hands tighter. "Emma, look at me. You are more than enough. I chose you because of who you are, not because of how you look. You have a heart of gold, and you inspire me in ways I can't even explain." "But the world doesn't see it that way," Emma countered, her voice trembling. "They see a billionaire marrying a fat girl and think it's a joke. I can't help but feel like a punchline." "Let them talk," Ryan said firmly. "You know what's truly important? It's what we see in each other. I see your strength, your compassion, and your intelligence. You make me want to be a better person, and I won't let anyone diminish that." Emma felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words, but the doubt still lingered. "What if I can't handle the pressure? What if I can't be the wife you deserve?" Ryan leaned in closer, his eyes locked onto hers. "You are my wife, Emma. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Not to me, not to the world. We're in this together, and I love you for exactly who you are." Tears welled in Emma's eyes as she searched his gaze for any hint of insincerity, but all she found was unwavering love and support. "You really mean that?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Absolutely," he said, his voice steady and filled with conviction. "You are beautiful, inside and out. I want the world to see you the way I do, and I'm willing to fight for that." Emma felt a rush of emotions, gratitude, love, and a flicker of hope. "Then let's fight together," she said, a newfound determination filling her voice. Ryan's face broke into a radiant smile. "That's my girl. How about we use this platform to advocate for body positivity? We can show the world that love comes in all shapes and sizes." Emma's heart raced at the thought. "You really think we could make a difference?" "I know we can," Ryan replied confidently. "We already have a following, and people are listening to us. Let's turn this into something meaningful." With a sense of purpose igniting within her, Emma nodded eagerly. "Okay, let's do it. Let's show everyone that beauty isn't defined by size, but by the love and kindness we hold inside." As they began to brainstorm ideas for their campaign, the atmosphere shifted from one of doubt to excitement. They discussed social media strategies, potential partnerships with body positivity organizations, and ways to share their story with the world. The prospect of using their platform to advocate for others filled Emma with a sense of empowerment she hadn't felt before. A few days later, they launched their campaign, sharing heartfelt videos and posts that highlighted their journey together. Emma opened up about her struggles with body image and self-acceptance, while Ryan spoke passionately about the importance of seeing beyond physical appearances. The response was overwhelming, with thousands of people rallying behind them, sharing their own stories of love and acceptance. However, with the support came a wave of criticism. Internet trolls and detractors were quick to voice their disdain, hurling insults and questioning Ryan's motivations. "He's just doing this for publicity," some said. "She's not good enough for him," others sneered. Each negative comment felt like a dagger to Emma's heart, but Ryan refused to let it deter them. "Don't listen to them," he reminded her during one particularly rough night. They sat together on the couch, scrolling through the barrage of comments. "These people don't know us. They don't see the love we share." "I know, but it still hurts," Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Then let's turn their negativity into fuel, Ryan suggested, his eyes bright with determination. Let's show them that we're not going anywhere and that our love is stronger than their hate. Emma took a deep breath, feeling the fire of resilience spark within her. You're right. We can't let them win. Let's keep pushing forward and spreading our message. Days turned into weeks, and as their campaign gained momentum, Emma felt a transformation within herself. She began to embrace her body and her worth, realizing that her value was not contingent on the opinions of others. With Ryan by her side, she felt empowered to face the world, criticism and all. They attended events, partnered with influencers who advocated for body positivity, and even organized a local rally to raise awareness. Each step they took solidified their bond and showcased the power of love in the face of adversity. Emma had found her voice, and with Ryan's unwavering support, she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they were not just a couple facing societal prejudice. They were a force of nature, determined to redefine beauty and love in the eyes of the world. And as they stood hand in hand, smiling at the crowd gathered at their rally, Emma knew they were just getting started. As Emma and Ryan sat in their sun-drenched living room, the morning light streaming through the large windows, they felt an air of optimism surrounding them. Their body positivity campaign had taken off, gaining traction and support from communities far and wide. They had received countless messages of encouragement, but amidst the praise, a single ominous letter had arrived that morning, shattering their peaceful moment. Ryan, you need to read this, Emma said, her voice trembling slightly as she handed him the envelope. The neat script on the front sent shivers down her spine. Ryan's brow furrowed as he tore it open, his eyes scanning the contents quickly. What does it say? Emma asked, anxiety creeping into her tone. They're threatening to expose my past business mistakes, Ryan replied, his voice low and filled with disbelief. They say it could ruin everything we've built. Our campaign, my reputation, everything. Emma's heart sank. She had seen how hard Ryan worked to foster a new identity, one that was not just defined by his wealth, but by his commitment to making a difference. Do you know who it is? She asked, her mind racing through the possibilities. Ryan shook his head, frustration evident in the tightening of his jaw. No, but I have a sinking feeling it's someone close. Someone who doesn't want to see us succeed. He ran a hand through his hair, visibly agitated. Emma felt a wave of anger wash over her, not just for Ryan, but for the injustice of the situation. Let's not let this get to us. We'll handle it together, she said, trying to inject a sense of determination into her voice. As the day unfolded, they prepared for a live event that was meant to celebrate the progress of their campaign. It was supposed to be a day of joy and unity. Instead, tension hung thick in the air, like an impending storm. The venue was packed, the energy electric. Emma stood backstage, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. She could hear the excited chatter of the audience, but behind there was a nagging worry about the letter. Ryan joined her, his presence a comforting anchor amidst the chaos. You okay? He asked softly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. I will be, she replied, offering him a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. We've worked too hard for this. As they stepped onto the stage, the applause was deafening. Ryan took a moment to soak in the love and support, and then he turned to Emma, his gaze steady and reassuring. Together, he mouthed, and Emma nodded, feeling empowered. The event was going smoothly, filled with inspiring speeches and heartfelt testimonials from people who were touched by their campaign. But just as they began to feel the momentum shift in their favor, a figure emerged from the shadows, stepping forward from the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, the man called out, his voice dripping with sarcasm. I hate to break up this little love fest, but I have something that might interest you all. Emma's stomach dropped as she recognized him. Jake, one of Ryan's former friends. The jealousy and bitterness radiating from him were palpable. What are you doing here, Jake? Ryan demanded, his tone sharp. Just sharing a bit of truth. Jake sneered. You think you can parade around like a saint? Your past is littered with mistakes, Ryan. And I have the receipts. Gasps echoed through the audience as the tension escalated. Emma felt the heat rise in her cheeks. She turned to Ryan, who stood rigid beside her. You're a coward, Jake, Emma said, stepping forward. This isn't about Ryan's past. It's about the future we're building. You're just bitter because you can't stand to see someone succeed without you. Jake laughed mockingly. Oh, look at you, the poster child for body positivity. What a joke. Do you really think you belong here? Ryan's eyes narrowed, a fierce protectiveness igniting within him. You don't get to belittle her. Emma is stronger than you'll ever be. She's more than enough, and she's more than your petty jealousy. Emma felt a swell of pride at Ryan's words, but the fear of what Jake might reveal loomed over them. Ryan, maybe we should just— No, he interrupted, his voice strong and clear. We're not backing down. Not now. Jake laughed mockingly. Oh, look at you, the poster child for body positivity. What a joke. Do you really think you belong here? Ryan's eyes narrowed, a fierce protectiveness igniting within him. You don't get to belittle her. Emma is stronger than you'll ever be. She's more than enough, and she's more than your petty jealousy. Emma felt a swell of pride at Ryan's words, but the fear of what Jake might reveal loomed over them. Ryan, maybe we should just— No, he interrupted, his voice strong and clear. We're not backing down. Not now. Jake smirked, sensing the unease in the crowd. Let's see just how strong this couple really is, he said, pulling out a document and holding it up high. I have evidence of your shady dealings, Ryan. You think your little charity work can cover up your unethical business practices? The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. Emma felt like the walls were closing in on her. Ryan stepped forward, his resolve unwavering. Go ahead, he challenged, his voice steady. Show everyone what you think you have. But know this. I've changed. I'm not that person anymore, and neither is Emma. Our worth isn't defined by mistakes from years ago. Jake's expression shifted, realizing that his attempt to undermine them was failing. You think you can divorce yourself from your past? The truth always comes out, Ryan. Always. He spat before storming off the stage, leaving the audience reeling. As the crowd began to murmur, Emma turned to Ryan, her heart racing. What if he really has something? What if this ruins everything? Ryan took her hands in his, grounding her. No matter what happens, we're in this together. I won't let him destroy what we've built. We'll fight this, side by side. The event continued, but the spark of excitement had dimmed. Emma felt a wave of uncertainty wash over her. In the days that followed, they braced themselves for the fallout from Jake's threats. They remained united, supporting one another as they navigated the treacherous waters of public scrutiny. Then, the unexpected happened. The news broke that Jake had been involved in unethical business practices himself, and his attempts to drag Ryan down only backfired. The evidence he had tried to use against Ryan became the very thing that exposed his own corruption. As the scandal unfolded, Emma and Ryan found themselves in the spotlight once more, but this time it was different. They were seen as champions of integrity, standing up against the very prejudices they had sought to dismantle. In the aftermath, they emerged stronger than ever. The challenges they faced had only solidified their bond, proving that their love was resilient. They continued their campaign with renewed vigor, determined to advocate for acceptance and self-love. One evening, as they sat together on the balcony of their home, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and pink, Emma turned to Ryan, her heart full. You know, I was so scared when Jake showed up, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But I've never felt more empowered than I do now, standing beside you. Ryan smiled, his eyes sparkling. We faced a storm, Emma, and we came out on the other side, hand in hand. As they leaned in for a kiss, Emma realized that their journey was just beginning. They were ready to face whatever came next, not just for themselves, but for everyone who felt marginalized or judged. Their love was a testament to the power of acceptance, and together, they would continue to forge a path of authenticity and hope.